Hey guys, I'm back with another video. I'm going to give you 4 crucial tips when it comes to leveling your warrior. You can either use these for hardcore or you can use them for the regular realms as well. These are tips that I haven't given you in previous videos before, so make sure you watch this whole video and I greatly would appreciate that as well. So on the screen here, I am currently working on another warrior, and barring anything crazy, this will be my 5th level 60 warrior on hardcore. So make sure you follow these tips and let's go ahead and get started. So my very first tip for you is the talent deflection, which is increasing your chance to parry right at the top of the arms tree here. Why it's important is because if you ever notice when you're using a slow, heavy main hand, sometimes you attack faster after a parry. That's because of parry haste. Now, people have done the math. When you parry an attack, your current weapon speed gets decreased by about 40%. So if you parry an attack, your weapon swing gets decreased by about 40% of what you currently have. So if you ever notice when you parry and you attack faster, especially with a slow, heavy main hand, that's why. So having those 5 points in parry and deflection, especially when you're leveling, is extremely useful. When it comes to warrior, sometimes you get by on the skin of your teeth, and it's important that you have potentially that extra attack on the parry. Parry haste, not only for tanking, but for open world leveling is huge. And it will help you from a tanking perspective gain some more easy threat. But at the same time, when you're open world leveling, could potentially save your life by getting an extra auto attack. Who knows, maybe you crit. And if you're Fury, you crit and you get the flurry procs, yada, yada, yada. So talking about our very first tip here, it is really important to put points in deflection. Parry haste is a thing, and it is great for warriors. I'll talk to you guys about is first aid. Now, technically, you can talk about this with any class, but I do find first aid to probably be the most important for warrior, at least in WoW Classic. Now, I'm not going to just sit here and say, oh yeah, learn first aid. It'll help you with your leveling experience. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about first aid and a couple things where you can actually use higher level bandages than what you can actually make. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. So when you hit first aid 150, you can only learn silk bandage. So then you're going to have to get 3 books that will basically advance your first aid. Now, if you're Horde, you can find those 3 books that you need to buy in Dustwallow Marsh, which I don't have it discovered on this character, obviously, but in a town here in Breckenwall Village, it's a troll behind a broken caravan. You got to buy those 3 books. And then for Alliance, it's a little more trickier. You actually have to go to Stormguard Keep, walk to the Alliance side, and then inside the little church building to the right of it, you're going to see a guy. He has your books for you. Now, what you can actually do is you can buy the books, their BOE, from the auction house. So if you just type in first aid, you will find your first book, which teaches you to learn a skill of 225. But to find the other ones, you don't actually have to type in first aid. You type in manual. In manual, we'll find you the heavy silk bandage and the mage weave bandage. So those are your 3 books that you can find. If you don't want to travel and find those or grab them, you can always just buy them on the auction house. Obviously, people charge a little bit higher. But I want to talk to you a little bit more about first aid in a sense of here in my skill level is 180. I can only make heavy silk bandages. But is that the highest level bandage I can actually use if I want to really get good first aid from a sit down and grinding spot? No. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and look. So our skill level again is 180. I can only make heavy silk at the moment. Let's type in heavy mage weave. Let's see if there's any in here before I talk out of my start yapping. So 175, 1004 health over 8 seconds. That's essentially basically 75% of my health bar. I can use that at a skill level of 175. Obviously, if money's short or tight, you don't have to buy these. But if you're finding ways, if you're sitting down and you're going to grind for a while, you can actually use bandages that are higher skill level than what you can make, and it'll make your leveling process a lot smoother. So that's why I wanted to talk to you guys about first aid. My third tip is regarding your weapon and weapon damage. If there's anything I want you to take from this video, it's this. Your weapon skill ratios do not matter until level 60. Stop thinking they do. They don't. So if you are an orc, you don't need to be using axes pre-60. If you're human, you don't need to be using maces or swords pre-60. What you care about is weapon damage. So looking at Whirlwind Axe here, I care about the top end damage of 154. Why is that? Well, because a lot of your abilities scale off of weapon damage. For example, if I go to Berserker stance here, Whirlwind. In a Whirlwind of Steel, you attack up to 4 enemies within 8 yards, causing weapon damage to the enemy. Overpower, a massive ability that I always talk about in my leveling videos, is off of weapon damage. Mortal Strike is weapon damage. As you can see, some of your massive and big abilities scale off of your weapon damage, which is why I tell you guys sometimes, don't be afraid to use certain staves. Don't be afraid to use axes if you're human. Don't be afraid to use maces if you're orc. What you can get at the time does not matter. All you care about is that weapon damage because it scales with some of your yellow abilities. So if there's anything, again, I want you to take from this video, you do not need to be playing towards your weapon ratios pre-60. Get what you can that has the highest top end damage, and that will help you level by scaling your yellow abilities. My last and final tip is really addressing what a lot of people like to say on Google, and that's attacking mobs that are 3 to 2 levels below you to increase your leveling, I guess, efficiency. To me, I don't really like that. And why I don't like that is because of overpowers. Now, if you don't know, your mob has a chance, or the mob that you are fighting, if they're at the same level as you, has a 5% chance to dodge. It goes up 0.5% per level. Now, if you are leveling arms like I've been telling you to, you have the ability Sweeping Strikes, you have Cleave, you have Whirlwind at 36 plus. You have a bunch of ways to get mobs to dodge. Now, why is that important? Because that enables overpower. And if you have 2 points in improved overpower, you're getting a 50% crit stacked on top of your other talents like cruelty, or if you're using axes, axe specialization, or world buffs. So again, Sweeping Strikes queued up, and let's say they dodge on a Cleave, you're attacking 2, or your Whirlwind, you're attacking 4 mobs at once. Essentially, you're getting a pretty high chance of getting a dodge, and that goes down when you're scaling down on levels. So to me, I love fighting mobs my level or even one above because I'm always trying to fish those overpowers with Hamstring, with Sunder Armor. I always tell you to use Sunder Armor. So essentially, when you open up on a mob, you have 3 to 4 chances right away to fish out an overpower, either with Hamstring and then 2 Sunders, and then obviously your auto attacks, which don't get clipped when you use those abilities. So for me personally, I don't like fighting mobs that are levels 2 to 3 under. It does not make a difference to me. I'm fighting mobs that are my level or even 1 above because it gives me a greater chance to get those overpowers, and the overpower talent is a massive carry. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to use these tips. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys another time.